Hey everyone, welcome back to ReddVoice. Today's story is one that will definitely leave you shocked. It's the kind of betrayal that you never see coming by two of the people closest to you. So sit tight and let's get into it. My best friend and my husband had an affair behind my back. My husband, Mike, 39-year-old male, and I, 37-year-old female, have been married for 7 years. We have a 5-year-old son together, and he also has a 9-year-old son from his previous marriage. I thought our relationship was strong. Our family was happy, or at least I thought it was. Last week, my best friend Lena, 36-year-old female, came over and completely shattered that image for me. She sat me down and confessed that she and my husband had been having an affair last year, which ended around Christmas in 2023. To say I was blindsided is an understatement. I had noticed some distance between Lena and me recently, but she always seemed to have what sounded like valid reasons for being busy. I chalked it up to life getting in the way, never imagining the real reason for her pulling away. What hit me even harder is that during this entire time they were seeing each other, Lena and I still hung out like nothing was wrong. I trusted her and she looked me in the eye while hiding this betrayal. Lena told me that the affair started in October 2023 at a Halloween party, a children's Halloween party of all places. That night, she said she felt attracted to Mike in a way she never had before. She told me she was jealous of the romance I had with him, jealous of our chemistry and, to my horror, the way I used to talk about how good he was in bed. She admitted that she reached out to him afterward under the pretense of asking for advice about her struggling marriage. At the time, I didn't think anything of it. She had talked to me many times about her dissatisfaction with her husband. I thought maybe she just wanted a male perspective. But what started as an innocent conversations about marriage turned into something much darker. She and Mike began sexting, which led them to meeting up to have sex, about 20 times according to her. Lena claimed they ended the affair around Christmas because of guilt. She said they both felt horrible about what they were doing and decided to call it off, as if that makes it any better. This past weekend, Mike was away on a trip with his older son, which is why Lena chose this time to confess. She said she wanted to tell me before her husband did, since she had already told him everything, how considerate of her. I'm completely numb. I feel like my insides have been ripped out, and I don't even know where to start. I picked Mike up from the airport yesterday and didn't let him know that I knew anything. He was acting completely normal, like nothing had changed, but I can't keep pretending. Last night he tried to initiate sex, but I couldn't even look at him without feeling sick. Normally, after being apart for a few days, I would have been all for it, but how can I? How can I act like everything is normal when my world is falling apart? Here's the thing. Opie is stuck in a really tough situation. On one hand, she's trying to process the betrayal. On the other hand, she's expected to continue her life as if nothing has happened. The fact that Mike has no idea makes everything even more difficult. How can you sit there and look at your spouse in the eye when you've just found out they've been betraying you for months, especially with someone as close as your best friend? It's a delicate dance, and it's only a matter of time before everything comes out. Update 1. I confronted Mike the day after I wrote my original post, and I couldn't hold it in any longer. The guilt of knowing, the anger, the sadness, it was too much. I told him everything Lena had confessed to me, and for a moment, he just stood there speechless. Then he admitted it. He said it was a mistake and that he regretted everything. He tried to explain that the affair didn't mean anything, that it was just sex, but I couldn't even hear it. How do you rationalize something like that? He asked for a chance to fix things, but I told him I needed time. We're separated right now. I'm staying with my parents trying to figure out my next steps. Lena, meanwhile, has completely ghosted me. She moved in with her parents and her husband is filing for divorce. I haven't spoken to her since she dropped this bomb on me, and honestly, I don't want to. Mike's been calling, texting, trying to make amends, but I don't know if I can ever get past this. The fact that it was with her, someone who's supposed to be like a sister to me, makes it worse. This update really drives home how complex betrayal can be. It's not just about the affair, it's about the history, the trust, the friendships that were shattered along with the marriage. Opie is handling this in the only way she can, by stepping away to process everything. Whether she decides to give Mike another chance or not, The road ahead is going to be long and difficult. To anyone listening, if you've been in a situation like this or have any words of advice or support for the OP, drop them in the comments below. She's going to need all the strength she can get. Next up, we have another gut-wrenching story of betrayal. Imagine welcoming someone into your home, your life, and your family, only to find out that they've been betraying you behind your back for over a year. Found out 4 days ago that my wife of 15 years has been having an affair with her best friend. My wife, Sarah, 37-year-old female, and I, 39-year-old male, have been married for 15 years. We have 3 children together, and we've been through a lot, but nothing could have prepared me for what I just found out a few days ago. It turns out Sarah has been having an affair with her best friend, Tom, 41-year-old male. Tom isn't just any guy. He's someone we met through a mutual connection, and he has a complicated past. A few years ago, he has just been released from prison after serving time for a sexual assault charge. I didn't know all of the details at first, but he seemed like a nice guy, humble guy. He was living with his ex-mother-in-law, who happened to run the Great Dane rescue my wife volunteered for. Sarah connected with him because they had both been through difficult experiences. She'd also done time in jail for something minor years ago, and they bonded over their shared experiences with the justice system. Tom started hanging out with us socially, and at first I didn't think much of it. Sarah and Tom clicked, but I trusted her. I thought our relationship was strong, and I was secure enough not to feel threatened. They even started hanging out without me from time to time, but I never thought anything was going on. Fast forward 8 to 12 months, and we all started hanging out at the same bar every Saturday, playing darts, doing karaoke, and having drinks. At this point, Tom and Sarah had grown really close. She considered him her best friend. I started getting uncomfortable when they began hanging out late, sometimes bar hopping until 1 or 2 in the morning. When I told Sarah I didn't like it, she played the jealousy card and said I was only upset because her best friend happened to be a man. I let it slide, thinking maybe it was just being paranoid. After all, she and I have been through so much together. By 2024, things were feeling off. Every time I tried to bring it up, Sarah would get defensive. Then one night, I did something I'm not proud of. I went through her MacBook. I had access to it because I knew the password, and I couldn't shake the feeling that something was going on. So I opened her WhatsApp messages with Tom. My heart sank. What I found was worse than I could have imagined. Explicit messages detailing their sexual encounters. There were multiple texts explaining everything. My whole world collapsed. I quickly snapped pictures of their messages, closed the MacBook, and walked away, shaking. I knew I couldn't react right away. I needed to keep it together for the sake of the kids and figure out how to handle this. The next day, I noticed through our Ring camera that they were both in my house while the kids were at school. She's currently unemployed and they'd been spending time together under my roof. I couldn't take it anymore. I waited until she dropped him off at his place, and then I drove over there myself. I showed Tom the messages and confronted him. To my surprise, he admitted everything. He said he was sorry and claimed they'd only slept together 5 times, under my nose, over the past year. He even apologized, but at that point, it didn't matter. The damage was done. I told him I had enough dirt on him to get him sent back to prison. He's still on probation. I warned him that if he ever came near my family again, I'd report him. He was visibly shaken, but I didn't care. I left him with one final thought: go to bed every night thinking about the family he destroyed. After I confronted Tom, I went home to confront Sarah. I waited until the kids were gone, and then I showed her the messages. At first, she was furious that I'd snooped through her computer, but as the conversation went on, she broke down. She started crying, saying that she was sorry, that she loved me, and that she never meant for things to go this far. It just happened, she said over and over again. She claimed that it wasn't planned, but I asked her, and it just happened 4 more times after that? She kept apologizing, telling me she couldn't imagine her life without me. But how can I believe anything she says now? The worst part was knowing that I had let Tom into our home, around our kids, and the whole time, he was sleeping with my wife behind my back. We're still living under the same roof, but we're not talking. She's sleeping on the couch while I'm in the bedroom. I'm being civil for the kids, who don't know anything yet, but I've already made up my mind. I've set up consultations with divorce attorneys, and I know that's the only path forward for me. I can't live with someone who did this to me. She chose Tom over me, over our family. She even told him she loved him in those messages. "I haven't slept or eaten in days. I'm just trying to hold it together for my kids. I've never felt so broken in my life." This is another painful example of how deep betrayal can go. OP's handling this with such composure, but it's clear his whole world has been turned upside down. He let Tom into his family, trusted his wife for 15 years, and in return, both of them betrayed him in the worst way. It's one thing to cheat, but it's another to do it under the same roof where you're raising your kids together. OP's decision to pursue divorce is a tough one, but it's also the right one. There's no coming back from this level of deceit, and staying together would only prolong the pain. If anyone out there has gone through something similar or has advice for the OP, make sure to drop it in the comments below. These stories remind us of how difficult betrayal can be to navigate, and also how important it is to stay strong and put yourself first when you've been wronged like this. Thanks for tuning in today, and we'll see you next time on ReddVoice.